The town of Maplewood was known for its picturesque scenery, quaint houses lined with white picket fences, bright flowers adorning every yard, and the sweet, intoxicating fragrance of pine filling the air. However, beneath this idyllic surface lay a darkness that had lain dormant for years, waiting for the right conditions to awaken. It all began one muggy summer evening when a strange gray fog rolling down from the forest covered the town, blanketing it temporarily in a shroud of mystery. The mist seemed to whisper secrets to the inhabitants, curling around their limbs like ghostly fingers. It was during this fog that peculiar happenings began to unfold. First, it was Lucy's cat, Jinx. The calico had always had an odd disposition, but on that particular evening, something felt drastically different. Lucy watched as Jinx stared fixedly at the fog creeping in through the open window. The cat's fur bristled as it crouched low, those once playful green eyes now appearing to swirl with a haunting light. It let out an elongated growl, a noise that resonated with fear rather than playfulness. This behavior spread through other pets like wildfire. Barking dogs, cowering hamsters, and even the goldfish in their bowls swam erratically, as if trying to escape a predator unseen. Soon, the whispers that flowed with the mist were not just changing the critters. They crept into the minds of the children of Maplewood. News across the schoolyard spread rapidly about the possessed pets. Lucy and her friends, curious yet trepidatious, formed the Maplewood Paranormal Club that summer to investigate the strange phenomenon. One sultry afternoon, Lucy, along with her friends David, Mia, and Jake, set off toward the heart of the woods, where the mist thrived in thickness. They whispered excitedly about their findings, clutching makeshift tools, a flashlight, an old camera, and a notebook. They entered the forest, shuffling over fallen branches and crunching leaves underfoot. As they ventured deeper, the atmosphere changed, the air chilling suddenly despite the summer heat. The familiar sounds of chirping birds and rustling leaves had melted into an eerie silence. Just then, from behind a thick cluster of trees, they spotted a dilapidated cabin. The walls were covered with twisting vine and moss, while the windows were caked in dirt. However, from inside came the grating of claws on wood, followed by a symphony of strange growls and hisses. "Should we check it out?" David whispered, catching the anxious gaze of his friends. Against their better judgment, curiosity drove them forward. They pushed the creaking door open, revealing a dark and musty interior. Shadows clung to the walls like fleeting memories, and the atmosphere buzzed with unease. Suddenly, from the corner, a scraggly old dog emerged, its fur matted and eyes glowing with unnatural brilliance. Its low growl echoed in the suffocating silence, paralyzing the group. "Stay back," Lucy shouted, grasping her flashlight tightly, as though it would shield them from the horror before them. But the dog lunged. Simultaneously, the fog from the woods began to billow into the cabin, twisting and swirling like a storm contained. The children stumbled backward, trying to find an escape. Yet the creature's bark morphed into a cacophony of human-like laughter, filled with malice and mockery, echoing around them. Its malformed form shifted as if the very essence of the fog transformed it, merging animal with something darker. In the throes of panic, Jake fumbled with the flashlight, casting beams around the room. Each flicker illuminated strange symbols and crude drawings etched into the floorboards, evidence of some long-abandoned ritual. The shadows danced as the laughter grew louder, resonating within their minds. Lucy felt lightheaded, as if the fog was seeping into her thoughts. A chilling realization dawned. The animals were more than just possessed, they were vessels for something far more sinister, ancient beings that thrived on fear. Realizing they couldn't stick around, Lucy rallied her friends. "We need to get out, now." They pushed past the dark creature, dodging its snapping jaws, and bolted for the door. The fog pushed and pulled at them, almost alive with hunger. As they leapt out into the open air, the fog swirled around them, almost reaching for their feet. But in their haste, each of them grasped tightly onto their sanity, their laughter, memories, and bravery anchoring them against the surreal terror. Emerging from the woods, the sensation of sunlight warming their skin was an overwhelming gift. They heard the faint whine of Jinx in the distance. The calico cat, who had once seemed a harbinger of doom, was now waiting, back to her usual snarky self. In the weeks that followed, the townsfolk reclaiming their lives noticed their pets returning to normal. Yet, Whispers about the forest lingered, unwelcomed but unproven. As for Lucy and her friends, they swore to keep the experience a secret. The fog had returned to its gloomy lair, but in the whispers of Maplewood, the tale of the possessed animals lay dormant, waiting for a new victim who would venture too deeply into the woods and awaken those ancient horrors once more.